Welcome, acolytes. Today, VangelinaSkov, 8 passengers dead, is taking legal action. Kevin and Ruby Frank. Now, do I know what this is? Nope. Do I want to know what this is? Yes. Definitively, I want to know what this thing is. Because this sounds actually quite funny, if I'm honest. But in the end of the day, we're only gonna know after I watch it. So, let's start. And by the way, you know the shenanigans. Subscribe and leave a comment. You know why, I know why. We don't have to lie to each other. Just do it. Let's start.
The 8-passenger story is one of the worst things that I have ever heard. And I don't mean one of the worst things that I've ever heard in terms of YouTube. I just mean one of the worst things that I have ever heard.
Okay. Now I'm in. What the F? Actually, could be the 8-passenger. What the F?
Passengers were a family channel, which in and of itself is already controversial. Because there's a lot to be said for the fact that growing up with a camera being shoved in your face and being...
Oh, this could be disturbing if you do things like growing up with a camera shoved in your face all the time. This can damage a person. I mean, just the best thing you can actually look up how it damages you. Just look at the America does a pedo thing where they have a children, young girls thing where they just dress them up like princesses. And I don't care if you say something else or argue against it. It's definitively a bit of P-wordy, like, definitively, this just isn't right, what's going on there. But, yeah, that's basically the same. Why am I always, like, getting the ugliest freaking moments from her? Why? Damn. Sorry about it. No.
On a platform where the lines between reality and content are blurred is not a good way for a child to be raised. And I've made my opinions very clear about family channels before. I do not think they're in any way okay. And to be honest, I do not trust a single parent who thinks that that is a good way to raise.
Smart girl. Very smart girl. Because, as I said, it can damage the kid and you don't even know to what amount it can damage. And it only comes up after a while. It doesn't come out instantly. No. This takes years before it actually comes out. And you see the actual damage you did to the person. So be wary after this. Like, really, if you have kids, be wary. Be extremely wary what you do with them. Oh, I didn't get a soul shot. Oh.
Their kids. But with that being said, not all of them are as bad as Ruby Frank. Ruby Frank is the mother of the 8-passengers family, who has been raising their kids along with their father, Kevin Frank.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I remember this. Yeah, okay, now I remember. Yeah. She said some really cringe stuff after a while. Like, some things were okay what she said, or I even to a degree agreed with it, but a lot of things she said after a while was just, well, the best case scenario, questionable.
Pretty recently, Ruby Frank pled guilty to the charges against her, and now Kevin has also spoken up. This is a story that I didn't cover for various different reasons, so if you don't actually know what happened here, let me tell you. People had been calling out 8-passengers for years, and specifically calling out Ruby Frank, saying that a lot of the things that she was doing to her kids were a form of mistreatment. Please note here that I'm going to use the word mistreatment to substitute a different word that begins with an A, simply because YouTube doesn't like that word being used. That's not an attempt for me to belittle the situation, I just can't use that word on YouTube. But some of the things that people had called out Ruby Frank for included things like sending their really, really young daughter to school without food because she didn't make her own lunch, and then when the teacher called saying she was hungry, refusing to bring lunch to her. And even worse still, saying that she hopes nobody gives her any food so that she learns her lesson.
I just got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
As well as taking away her son's bed as a punishment.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months and then give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
I'm sleeping on a beanbag since October. I gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think it's the reason. At least this is the reason that's in my head. It's pretty funny, but now I look back, it's pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in the suitcase. And then he walked out the door and I'm like, Russell, he's like, what? And he's all happy. Has his sunglasses on.
Do you think it's funny? Because
And then I walked out.
if you think it's funny, then that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom. Russell got the big bedroom and Chad got the smaller bedroom. And Russell's bigger bedroom also had a bathroom. But what you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family.
This, by the way, is the same son that Ruby
Sounds bad. Sounds really bad.
and Kevin sent to one of those troubled teen camps in the woods. You know, like the one that Paris Hilton went to, and then later exposed that she had been horribly mistreated there. And there were a million other things that people had been questioning for years. It would be so much to get into now, and I don't know if people want to hear it or if you're familiar with the story already, so please do let me know in the comments if you would like a full recap of pretty much everything. That would be a much longer video and it would take me a while to get out, so I need a bit of patience if you want to see that, but if you do then I can make the video for you guys. More recently, however,
Please do it. Tell her to do it. Sounds fun.
Ruby Frank was arrested under charges of child mistreatment, as was her friend and business partner, Jody Hildenbrandt. Both of these women were accused of mistreating the 8 passengers' kids. And the details of what they did are extremely graphic, as well as things like unusual punishments, making kids walk barefoot and do work in the heat with no water as punishments, as well as...
Ooh, that's extreme. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you shouldn't let everything through. A form of punishment is fine. I don't mean like hitting the child or abusing the child or something like that. I mean a actual punishment that fits the crime or the age of the child. But stuff like that, oof.
Taking away food. There's also a lot of very physical and horrific things that went on. But in the interest of not being overly graphic in this video, I am not going to detail them. If you would like to find those things out, it's a quick Google search. They're detailed in every single article. But I feel like a lot of people here won't want to hear that. So again, if you want a full video, let me know. Now, Ruby Frank accepted a plea deal and has pled guilty to child mistreatment, as has Jody. However, they've not been sentenced yet. That is going to happen early this year, but it's been said that without a doubt both of these women are going to receive jail time. And I want to point out here as well that in terms of Jody Hildenbrandt, she was involved with mistreating the 8 passengers' kids, but these are not the only ones that she has done this to. There have been other people as well, including her own niece. But she's only being charged in regards to 8 passengers. Throughout this whole process, though, we haven't heard much from Kevin Franke, who is not being charged with these things and has been in and out of the family's lives for a little while now. Now, though, he is asking for restitution and a restraining order against Jody Hildenbrandt. Kevin Franke, father of the minor children, moves the court on behalf of said children to consider victim restitution in this matter, and further to seek from the court an emergency expert pre-judgment writ of attachment and or temporary restraining order, restraining the defendant from liquidating, concealing, or transferring her personal assets prior to the establishment of anticipated restitution, and an order regarding the same, owning the defendants to any of said victims. This is quite wordy, but to break it down simply, Kevin Franke is asking for restitution, meaning for Jody Hildenbrandt to pay the psychological and medical fees that are required by the children to treat the psychological issues that they're now going to have to deal with because of her actions and Ruby Franke's actions, as well as asking for a restraining order against her. Now, this is not the usual restraining order of keep this person away from me. This is restraining her from liquidating her assets, i.e. selling all of the stuff that she owns so that her assets can't be taken against her to use to pay for these child's fees. And Exhibit A used in the reasoning that this is necessary, that this restraining order is necessary, is that she has put her home up for sale. And she has listed that home for $5,300,000, potentially in a preemptive strike against this. The defendant, at a hearing before the court, entered pleas of guilty to 4 separate counts. The admission made, in conjunction with the entry of pleas, established that the child victims of defendants suffered both physical and psychological mistreatment. The children have undergone medical care and have been subjected to psychological assessments and ongoing mental health treatment in an attempt to assist them in comprehending and recovering from these injuries. The children remain in professional care for the aggravated and psychological and emotional injuries suffered. It is clear and admitted that the children suffered immediate and continuing irreparable harm as a result of the crimes perpetrated upon them by this defendant. It is generally undisputed that these children will require long-term professional care, certainly extending beyond the time of sentencing, and likely for many years thereafter. Once the juvenile court matter concludes, presumably and approximately no later than September of 2024, the cost for this ongoing critical professional help will fall upon the children and their father. This would be a completely inequitable result, that the victims and victims' family would have to pay for their own treatment for injuries caused by the defendant. So this does make complete sense to me, and I understand it fully, but what I don't understand is why all of this is being put onto only Jody Hildenbrandt. What she did to those children was horrific, and there's no getting away from that. But she was not the only person involved. The other people involved were Ruby Franke, who has pled guilty, and Kevin Franke has not been charged with anything. So it's generally believed that he wasn't involved in these things. However, is it not his responsibility too to be looking out for these children? Was he not a part of the things that people were calling out the 8 passengers family for years for?
While I'm agreeing with her, at the end of the day, this isn't a private matter. This is an open matter for everyone to see. And at the end of the day, people are just so stupid, so dumb-effed, that they want... The only thing they want is one witch to burn. Not justice for everyone that actually did something wrong, but a witch to burn. The rest is irrelevant.
Taking away beds and items belonging to the children as punishment, leaving them without food, plenty of other things that he was either a part of or simply watched. And in my own opinion, whether he was the one physically inflicting harm onto them or not, he is at best guilty of neglect, and at worst, guilty of just as many things as Ruby Frank. And again, that is just my own personal opinion. And while I agree that yes, Jody definitely should have to pay for these children's medical fees and psychological fees. However, Ruby Frank was also involved. Their own mother. Why does she not have to also pay for this? It just makes me feel a little bit uneasy because I
repeat, a witch burns, and that's enough. That's more than enough.
I know that Ruby Frank also tried to blame a lot of this on Jody, saying that Jody skewed her moral compass and made her act in these ways, which seems like just trying to brush responsibility off and putting it entirely on Jody for Ruby's own actions. So I just wonder if this is part of that attempt to make it all look like the responsibility falls on Jody, which of course, a large part of it does fall on Jody. She was equally guilty. She has pled guilty, but a large part of it falls on Ruby as well. With all of that being said though, I do hope this goes through. I do hope that Jody Hildenbrandt has to pay for these things because yes, it is an inequitable result that the father and the children would have to be the ones to pay for this. I'll keep an eye on this and see what's happening, and I will be keeping an eye out for the sentencing. But all in all, I just feel horrifically sad for these children, and I really truly hope that this is an isolated incident in the family channel space. Thank you for watching today's video. Please do let me know in the comments what you think about all of this, and if it's too heavy of a topic and you don't feel like commenting on it, then just let me know in the comments how you're doing, because I'd love to know. I'm having an up and
Yeah, okay, let's maybe wait.
Down sort of week, but today is a bit more of an up day, so that's good. Again, as well, please do let me know if you want a full video. I know a lot of people have already kind of covered everything start to finish, so I don't know if there's any point in me doing it. But if you do want it, it would be more of a comprehensive video than a this happened and this happened and this happened.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, literally, people who watch a certain person just want to hear what the person has to say about it. And I think it would be a good idea if you do something where it's your words, you say what you think about it. That's always a nice idea, just for the reasons I just said before I repeat myself again. But as it is, acolytes, maybe say what you think about it. Just do it. So, good night.